Can you see anything from that? Maybe this angle's not the best. Hold on. I think that's better. It is Miller Lite time. So this is one of the every other Mondays process streams that we do. Gary D, thank you very much. Hello, thanks for joining us tonight. This should be a fairly fun one. We are making one of our newer seasonings. It's one that we brought in under the Waltons branding, and it is the mac and cheese broth. So I'll go over this a few times because obviously we're just getting started. But this seasoning actually comes with 2 bags of seasoning. We've got your regular seasoning, which obviously looks pretty cheddar heavy. And then we've got these noodles. Now those noodles are not just normal noodles, they are parboiled, meaning that we don't have to do anything to them. We can throw them right in with our meat and cooking them, smoking them, however we do it, grilling them. The heat and the moisture from the meat will be enough to fully rehydrate them, and they will work perfectly in there. We've made a few batches so far. Noodles always work out absolutely perfectly. So let me know. I assume as people start showing up, we will have more Miller Lite or maybe some Dos Equis fans in the comments. Let us know what you're drinking. I am all by myself tonight, so we will get this done fairly quickly. We're going to bone out a single pork butt. We don't have to make a ton of it. We're going to weigh out that amount on our 660-pound digital scale. We'll then divide out the right amount of seasoning, mix it in, might throw a little bit of water in there, shouldn't need much. We're going to add 10% of our product's weight in high temp cheese. For anyone who doesn't know, high temp cheese is more important or is better than regular cheese because it doesn't melt. So Julius Aban, hopefully I'm saying your name somewhat correct, asks if we need to add extra liquid. If you're asking specifically for the noodles, no. It really is the amount of moisture in the meat. The juices from the meat will rehydrate that. We're going to add maybe just a little bit more water to help mix the seasoning in. There's a lot of seasoning per pound of meat. Anytime you get a specialty flavor like cheddar, like a barbecue, those are always going to require more seasoning. And that does tend to, you want to add a little bit of water. With a bratwurst, because it's such a large diameter stuffing tube we're going to use, because we're using such a large casing, you don't really have to add extra water, but for certain seasonings, you do want to add a little bit more in there. So I'm going to get going. I am going to debone this. Hopefully everybody can see everything. I will try and keep what I'm doing outside of the chat. I know that's been a problem. I tend to like everything at the bottom, and that's right where chat is. So that's something I'm working on. So this is just one of our Waltons boning knives. We're going to use that and my Victorinox 8-inch chef's knife. First thing I'm going to do is locate the bone on this pork butt. Before we even get started with that, we like to use pork butts because they have a high fat content. We're going to be right in the 25 to 30% fat range here, which is perfect for any type of sausage, whether it's summer sausage, snack stick, smoked sausage. Pork butts are a great way to go. If you like using your venison and wild game, then I would recommend just adding straight pork fat until you get to 20 to 25% range, somewhere in there. So I'm going to locate this bone. I'm going to cut back at an angle. So I want to come right down here. I want to separate as much of the lean from, or as much as the meat from the bone as possible. So now I have this chunk, which is nothing but meat. There's no bone in there. I'm going to set that aside. So now I can focus on getting as much meat off of this as possible. And we're just going to smoothly and easily pull our knife. We're going to try and be very careful. Those of you who know me well know that not always the best at knife safety. But so we're going to separate that bottom chunk. We're going to lay it on its long flat bone. And we're going to cut down into it. So as you can see right there, I've made a nice deep V in there. So I've separated most of this meat from this bone. There is a secondary bone that runs right along this side. So I need to make another angled cut to get as much of that as possible. And then now we're just digging into those little crevices that are in there. And this is definitely something we want a very sharp knife for. A dull knife trying to bone out a pork butt can make for a very long and very annoying experience. But with the right tools and just a little bit of knowledge, it's not terribly hard. We can get this done in just a few minutes. And you can be as exacting as you want on deboning your pork butts. I tend to like to get a good amount off them. It's not quite as exacting as I'll be with wild game because I didn't go harvest it. I have a bit of a, other than geese, which I don't like the legs of geese. I will take every scrap off of ribs, of my deer, anything like that. I'm gonna come up and show you guys something. I see there's a new comment from Dank Swizzle. It says, had black bear jerky for the first time the other day. Honestly, one of my favorite jerkies to date. Okay. So, I have had bear... No, that wasn't bear jerky. What was that? It was something that made me think of... Maybe it was bear jerky. Yeah, I had bear jerky probably like 5 or 6 years ago. Very good. I didn't think it was processed terribly well. They didn't do a good job shaving off all the extra fat. It wasn't even intramuscular fat. It was like fat on the outside of it. Couldn't understand that. But the flavor was good. If you're interested in a new jerky seasoning, we've got one called Peppery Au Jus. And it is absolutely amazing. We're going to be talking a lot about it in the future. You probably can't really see this. It'd be better if you were here and could feel it, obviously. But this, right in there, is actually a little piece of cartilage that my knife, because it was so sharp, was able to cut right through. So we're going to remove that. Because that will go through the grinder, absolutely no problem. The grinder will cut that up. And it would probably grind it to the point where we're not even going to know it's there when we're eating it. But there's no reason not to. All right, so we're going to do two things here. We're just going to quickly chop these other pieces down into longer strips. Dank, do you know what the seasoning was that you used for jerky? Or they used for jerky, however the bear was gotten. I'm extremely interested in bear meat. I've heard all sorts of different things. Specifically, obviously, bear grease is kind of a big thing right now. We've gotten big into beef tallow. Beef tallow has a ton of awesome uses. We've been using it for cooking like nuts recently. Allie's been using it for beauty products, health or moisturizers, and she gave me some and I'm using them too. So we're going to take the large piece we had left. We've got one of those same kind of cut through a little bit of cartilage. So we're just going to grab that and get that out. And then we're going to do something I like to call the meat neck or necklace. And it's just an easy way to get one nice long run of meat that we can feed right down through our grinder. Makes grinding a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is I'll start from the back. I'm going to stop about an inch short of the front and cut all the way down and through. So I have that. I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stop about an inch. I'm going to cut all the way down and through. I'm going to spin that. I'm going to stop just about an inch away from the end. Cut all the way down and through. So now I have one nice long run, and then I'm going to run from side to side on it. Now hopefully at the end of this, we will be able to feed this entire thing through, cut off a little piece of it there. But we've still got a nice long piece that we should be able to either turn into an awesome little fashion statement or pushed right down through our grinder. So Haddock asks best jerky, or says it's best jerky he's ever had. So obviously people are liking bear jerky. Dank says just black pepper and then smoke, but I'm not sure what wood was used. Very tender meat, wasn't very gamey, almost buttery. Tex tells me not to cut myself. I haven't cut myself in a long time, and I'm willing to actually say that. Like, if I jinx myself, then so be it. For Dank and Haddock, I would say that a good amount of the quality of the meat, obviously what the animal is eating matters a huge amount, right? Really, really important. If you're getting a black bear that's eating mostly out of garbage, it's not going to taste as good. If it's eating a lot of blueberries, wild game, or foraging, it's probably going to be a lot better. But how the animal is handled once it has been shot, killed, however you got it, absolutely has a huge impact on the flavor, texture, tenderness, all of that of the meat. Julius Adams said, you just jinxed it. I don't think I did. I've been good for like months and months and months at this point. We might be past the me cutting myself phase. And I've done numerous of these while having some other lights. So I don't think that's part of it. All right, so I've got the Waltons grinder here. This is the 22. For you guys who've been with us for a long time, you'll know I've been using the 22 for years and years. And this has the one-shot grinder head attachment. So within this, there are two grinder plates. There's a kidney plate right back here, and then out front, I've put a 3/16 plate. That 3/16 plate is going to be perfect for bratwurst. We don't want to go too fine on a bratwurst. We're not looking for the texture of a snack stick or a summer sausage. We want some chunkiness to it. So this should be just about perfect. Everything has been white oiled, and I've used our Maxim sanitizer on it. This is a great no rinse sanitizer, just 60 seconds. Spray it on there, let it sit for a little bit, and it will after 60 seconds, it sanitizes everything. I've also got a spray bottle of white oil. This is great for the inside of stuffers, makes them way easier to clean. Same thing with grinders, especially grinder trays. And with grinder plates and knives, when that knife rubs against that plate like that, it's generating a good amount of heat and friction. So that, something like white oil, is going to help keep that down, not heat our meat up as much or as quickly as we go through it. And as I've said ad nauseum, heat is the enemy of everything we're trying to do here. So I'm going to grind this really quick, and then we will get to the mixing. Did I remember to plug everything in? I think I did. I did. So we've got one long strand. There's a real thick piece there. And that ran right through it. So this, the nice thing about the one shot is we're done. There's no second grind on any of this. We've ground it first time through that kidney plate in the back. Then it passes through a two-sided knife, which cuts it coming out and cuts it going in. And I might need our stomper. Nope, it grabbed it. Get down there. The only time we like to use the stomper is this, when we're grinding, is when the meat doesn't fall down correctly and get engaged with the auger. So we're gonna let that sit for just a little bit, let it sanitize itself because it just came out of a drawer, and we don't want to be introducing any bacteria to any of this meat. For any of you who don't know, the reason that we have to cook all of our sausage up to 160, but we can cook a steak up to, well, I cook it to 115 sometimes, is because almost no bacteria lives on the inside of the muscle. It all lives on the outside of the muscle. But once we grind that up, we've mixed that all in, taking that bacteria that was on the outside, and we've introduced it to the rest of the meat. So we then have to cook it to 160 degrees. Appendix A, for people who are very knowledgeable, will know that like 154 for a minute or two is usually fine. We say 160 just for that extra level of safety. Jeremy Morgan says, what were those sprays you were talking about? So this one is Maxim Hard Surface Sanitizer, and what I really like about it is it's a 60-second. So 60 seconds after I spray it, I know that my surface, whatever it be, whether it's a stomper, whether it's the inside of my stuffer, my grinder, it is perfectly sanitized. You don't have to worry about that at all. For white oil is a really highly refined mineral oil. People call it Packer's Tech oil as well. It is really good at making sure, or to limiting friction between two metal objects, and it doesn't gunk up as much as other oils. I've seen people use olive oil. I know you work with what you got, but olive oil does tend to gunk up. So I'm just gonna push this meat down and make sure it engages with that auger. And it just grabbed it right there and went immediately. That's all we needed this for, was to just make sure that auger down there can grab it. The surefire way to slow down your grinds is to overuse your auger. If you're jamming meat down here, you're actually creating back pressure from the front of the plate. So we never want to use our auger for anything other than pushing meat down to make sure that that auger can grab it. We're going to put a little bit of meat back down through our auger. This way I can ensure that all of the meat has been ground at least once, because it needs something behind it to push it out. If you're using a regular grinding head, not a one-shot, you can put paper towels down there. It works really well. It doesn't work as well with the one-shot. The one-shot has too much torque, and that can create some issues. So hopefully I answered Jeremy Morgan's question. To get my plate and knife out, I just turn it on for a second, turn it off. That'll kick the plate out, and that gives me the ability to grab the knife, grab the auger, and pull everything else out. So it's just a quick half a second on and off. All of this, there's a lot of just connective tissue and gristle that gets wrapped around the knife. I don't find a reason to add that back to the sausage. You absolutely can if it's important to you, but in general, I find that that's kind of unnecessary. And if we're trying to make a really premium product, we probably want to avoid that. So I'm going to take this grinder out of the way, and we have a dishwasher here now, so I can dishwash all the stuff at the end of the night and get out of here. Our new studio is awesome. I can't wait. Once we have everything completely set up, we will be giving you guys a tour of the entire building. Shipping, all the offices, everything. It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. But for right now, we're still in the moving in phase, so we're being a little cautious of that. Nick Nelson says, have you ever tried duck burger or duck sausage? So I've made a few things out of duck. Favorite thing I've ever made out of duck is duck pastrami. I've found that to be absolutely phenomenal. I've got a thing where there's a couple of restaurants where if duck à l'orange is on the menu, I'm getting that. I love duck. Its fat is perfect. You have to eat it quick because that fat will congeal and make kind of a mess. But I absolutely love duck. So I don't tend to do too much other stuff with it. If I have it as a protein, I'm gonna cook it as a whole muscle. But we're gonna use our 660-pound scale. I'm gonna tear this out so I can make sure I know exactly how much meat I have. So this weighs 1.8 pounds. We're gonna tear it, so I'm back down to 0. And we're gonna see how much meat we have here. For those of you, I don't know if guesses are fun for this, but I would be interested to see what some of you are guessing that is. I'm gonna say it is 5.9 pounds. Nick Nelson says, I'm big into duck hunting and some of them taste bad, so I thought about turning them into burgers. So I'm a huge proponent of using pork fat when we're talking about any type of wild game seasoning. And the reasoning behind that is because pork fat has a creaminess to it that is unmatched by almost any other protein's fat. The one exception to that is duck. Duck's fat is incredibly creamy. So you would have huge success making sausage out of it, making burgers out of it. But if you're not eating mud ducks, there's a really good flavor to them. So 4.7 says Julius. Ronald says 6.7. The actual answer was 5.4. So I was closest. I win. I don't know what to tell you. I'm the best. No, I'm just kidding. I've done this a million times. So we want to then figure out how much seasoning, how much noodles, and how much cheese we need. For water, we are just going to eyeball it. We don't have much of a need to be exact on water. This is an Ascali precision scale. It's really good at lower weights, so we can be hyper accurate with these things. When we're talking about seasonings like this, it's probably not the most important that we're dead on, but when we're talking about things like sodium erythorbate, anything like that, we need to be absolutely exact. So an Ascali precision scale is a great way to do that. Sodium erythorbate, for those of you who don't know, is a cure accelerator. So when we're making things like snack sticks, summer sausage, we can add that when we add our cure. And we then don't need to hold it overnight. We can go directly from mixing and stuffing right to the smokehouse. Miller Lite instead of water, yeah, no, I only brought 4 with me tonight, and I've already drank 1. So those Miller Lites are for my tummy and not for the sausage. In fact, now that you said that, I'm going to grab one. All right, so the easiest way to figure out how much seasoning we need for 5.4 pounds would probably be to go to waltons.com, and we have a seasoning conversion calculator on every single page. But the formula is really not that hard. So we're going to run through it really quick. I'm just going to bring a calculator up here, and hopefully my eyes aren't too bad to read off these packages. So we've got 3 pounds to 25 pounds of seasoning. So our weight is 3 pounds, and that does 25 pounds. So we're going to take 3 divided by 25. We're then going to multiply that by 5.4. That's the number of pounds of meat we have. And we're going to get 0.684, or 0.648, sorry. Maybe I am dyslexic. Then we're going to multiply that by 16, which is ounces, and we come up with 10.3 ounces. So we're going to pour 10.3 ounces in here, which is actually a lot more than I would think. We're at 8. We're at 9. We're at 10.31. 10.35. We will call that good. Now, for the noodles, we've got 1.25 pounds. So we're going to take, same thing, it's the exact same thing. We're going to take 1.25, we're going to divide that by 25, and we're going to get 0.05, multiply that by 16, and we get 0.8. So I'm going to re-tear this out so I get to 0, and I'm looking for 0.8 of an ounce. So that shouldn't be a ton. And that feels wrong to me. Did I do the math wrong there? I'm just going to check that again because that doesn't feel right. That feels like way too little. 1.25 divided by 25 is 0.05 times 16 is 0.8. So that is correct. We're at 0.77 right now. So we'll get to 0.85, but we're still okay. Allie says, unfortunately, I really do have a huge heart. No, don't measure with your heart. That's terrible advice. Measuring with your heart is for bakers, and we are not bakers here. We are sausage makers. Bakers measure with their heart all day long, and that's why one cookie tastes great one time from somebody, and another time a cookie tastes terrible from somebody. So measure with a scale. That's what they're for. Your heart is for pumping blood around your body. Let that do that. Yeah, it doesn't seem right. Like, I really feel like that's wrong. Usually I'm very good with just relying on math, but I've got 1.25 pounds of seasoning, of noodles. That does 25 pounds. So dividing that by 25 is 0.05, and then I want the ounces, it's 0.8. That seems weird. Seems very, very weird to me. If somebody else can tell me that I'm wrong, someone else can figure out the math better than that, I'd be down for it, but I mean, that's what it comes out to. I think we're in for some pretty serious storms here tonight in Wichita. All right, so we've got 5.4 pounds. So we need 0.54 of a pound. We need 8.64 ounces of cheese. And we will tear that out. Come on, don't tell me I need a knife to open this. So this is the high temp cheese. Like we talked about earlier, the cheese, if you try and use regular cheese, it will tend to what is wrong with my math? Is my calculator bad? Okay. 16 ounces a pound. This is a pound of cheese. A pound doesn't do 25. A pound does 12.5. Okay, sorry. So 8.64 is correct. So we're gonna add 8.64 pounds of cheese. And this definitely is one of those seasonings where you want to add more cheese. I'm usually on the lower end, and Austin is on the higher end of how much cheese should be added. But for something like Mac Attack Bratwurst, you need a good amount of cheese. So I'm going to throw that in there. I'm going to go get gloves. I'm going to get a little bit of water, and I'll be right back. So the noodle type does matter for Ryan. Also, Allie, why unfortunately I have a huge heart? That doesn't ring right. Fortunately, I have a huge heart. The type of noodle does matter. These are the noodles that come with the seasoning, so you get them both of the bags, and they are parboiled, so we don't need to do anything special to them. We just add them to the meat, stuff them, cook them, and they will be perfect. Ooh. So I'm adding a very small amount of water to this, just about a half a cup. It doesn't need much. We only have 5.4 pounds. And again, we're stuffing it into a large bratwurst casing, so I'm not really concerned with that. 8 ounces of cheese, not 8 pounds. 8 ounces, or 8 pounds would be insane. Thank you, Ronald. Although I do have a feeling Tex is probably messing with me. As I'm doing this, I want to make sure that I'm not getting protein extraction. So if I'm doing snack sticks or something like that by hand, usually what I'll do is grab clumps of meat, push them together, and squeeze my hands so that the meat comes shooting out in between my fingers. What I'm trying to do there is get as much mechanical action on the meat as possible with every turn, or with every movement. Here, I'm trying to avoid that. I'm trying to be gentle with the meat, almost, as Allie would say with bacon, fold it in. We just want to get all the seasoning, all the cheese, everything we've added to it, mixed in well with the meat. If we end up getting protein extraction where the meat becomes really sticky, we're going to get an odd texture. And that's just not what we want with a bratwurst. We want a chunky texture. We want to see those fat particles still totally there. We want to see larger pieces of individual protein. So that's just how a bratwurst is done. But you can smell, I mean, this honestly smells like a Cheeto. And that's a good, like in a good way, not in a bad way. So I'm not working it too hard with my hands. I'm almost never closing my hands completely. I'm just moving it around. We're going to stop it here fairly soon. It looks like we've got a pretty good mixture in place. And I've got my grill outside already started. Probably take a peek out there real quick, make sure it's started up correctly. And it looks like it did. So we're going to go on to the stuffing phase. This is our 11-pound sausage stuffer. I've already got 30mm collagen casings on it. More and more I've been preferring collagen casings. I went through a kick there for a really long time where I was loving using natural casings, especially the tubed natural casings. But for whatever reason, I've just been preferring the straight form of collagen. Plus, I think I have the right level of understuffing where if we twist them just right, they're not going to stay closed, but it'll be a nice looking product. It won't have that bulging that sometimes collagen, or at least with me, collagen was wont to do previously. Doug asks, will the dry noodles tear the casings? No. No, at least not in our experience so far. This is a new seasoning for us, but I've made a few batches now. We have not run into that at all. These collagen casings, when they're fresh and good, should have a slightly oily feel to them, and these still do. If the casings were super dry, very brittle, maybe, but I'm not sure. Ryan says, yeah, they shouldn't. I had some of these brats this weekend, and there were no holes in the casings. When did you have these? Were you in town, or did you order some? Just FYI, my feelings will be hurt if you were in town and I didn't see you. All right, so I'm going to load this 11-pound sausage stuffer. I'm going to load it to try to prevent any air pockets from forming. So how I like doing that is, if here is the casing, the first batch I will put so that the front of the bottom of this is almost visible, like you can almost see the metal, and the meat comes up at an angle. Next one I will reverse that, then I'll reverse that, and then I'll reverse that. I'll push down at it the entire time I'm doing it. With collagen casings, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but if we were using something like cellulose casings, that would matter a huge amount. Any air that you push into a cellulose casing is a problem that you just created for yourself. For anyone who doesn't know, cellulose casing are vegetarian casings, but they make absolutely wonderful skinless products. All right. Ronald says, John, I've got one of the 30-pound electric stuffers. Can I use the new piston gasket on it? Yeah. If you have an old, all the 30-pound stuffers are interchangeable. Like, the piston will fit on any of the models. So if you want one of the newer pistons with the reinforced gasket, absolutely. They all screw on the exact same way. Oh, Wahoo is already selling these. That is excellent to know. All right, so like I said, I've got our suction cup feet on this. That's going to prevent too much rocking. When you do a lot of sausage stuffing by yourself, that is kind of a major deal. I used to have a wood clamp on the side of this table that would keep it down, but this does a much, much better job. It's way easier to use. So I'm going to just slightly understuff these, just a little bit, not much, a tiny bit of understuffing. And then when we go to twist them, I'm going to give them all a few extra twists, and that's just going to firm them up really nice. And then when I go to cut them, that twist will stay a little bit better. So the 11-pound is a dual speed stuffer. Sorry, you probably couldn't hear that. The 11-pound is a dual speed stuffer. It has two different gearboxes, one for stuffing and one for backing it out. That doesn't even have enough left in it that's worth using our stuffer flusher eggs. So we won't even bother with that. Okay. You can't even, hopefully maybe you can see it. That's a little understuffed from at least what I normally do for it. So I'm going to get about the size I want. I'm going to twist it. I'm going to go one way. I'm going to fold that down. I'm going to pinch down on the casing, and I'm going to twist the other way. We're going to fold down, twist, pinch, and go that way. Fold down, twist, pinch. So we're going back and forth the entire time. You can skip sausages. The problem is, for whatever reason, with me at least, that makes it way more likely that I'm going to twist in the same direction 2 times in a row, and that will undo a bunch of the work we've done. So I just calmly and quietly go down the entire row of sausage. If you can see, like I said, I'm twisting more times than I normally do, and I can do that because these casings are slightly underfilled. Oop, did I almost? Yep, I almost did it. That means when I go to cut them, I will have more material between the sausages to work with. No, Tex, these are 30 millimeters, not 32. And it probably takes an extra minute or so to do each individual sausage instead of skipping, but it's a minute well spent. Can't tell if we're going to get a storm tonight or not. I'm looking out our side window and it looks like we might be in for something, but hard to tell. All right, I'll just push that down, that last one. Okay, here's where we're going to get a knife. Our other board. And because this hasn't been sanitized, that is the problem with the suction cup feet. They're strong. We're going to put some butcher paper on that. So butcher paper is just a paraffin wax or maybe polylined paper. Just easy, disposable, sanitary. And so we're going to cut in between each one. As you can see, with the collagen casing, it's not all that common to be able to get a nice closure like that when we're hand twisting. But if we understuff them a little bit, we can keep it closed better. It's not going to be like it is with a natural casing, but it's way better than if we try to fully stuff these casings and then twist them. That only took me 7 years to really learn. People had told me, but I don't learn by people telling me. I learn by eventually one day going, oh, that works better. I'm the first person to ever think of this. And then I slowly remember, like, oh no, people have been telling me that for years. For the life of me, I can't imagine why I'm divorced. And we are going to cook all of these. Dylan came in today and asked me if I had any cooked proteins that were ready to eat. And I shamefully had to admit that I didn't have any. So we will not have that problem again. We'll have some meats to be ready to eat if one of the owners comes looking for it. Snap that little bit. All right. Doug Burke says in Henry County, Missouri, storming bad here. I heard Missouri is getting absolutely annihilated. Somebody who works here, Maddie, told me today that she'd heard hail, flooding, and like unbelievably high winds. So hopefully you're okay. People from the not center of the country don't realize how scary these weather events can be. They are terrifying. And also, let's just be honest, very exciting. I'm going to bring the camera out there first, and then I'll come back for this. Make sure I have my keys with me. Not a fun way to get locked out. All right, so that is a Camp Chef woodwind. It's the 36-inch model. I have the 24-inch model at home. In my opinion, the 36-inch model has more cold spots, hot spots, takes longer to heat up. 24-inch, perfect. All right. I'm gonna grab just a few utensils. Gonna be right back out. Only terrifying to New Yorkers? Wait. No. There's all sorts of areas of this country that don't have tornadoes and crazy weather events. Especially when it comes out of nowhere. That's what I really object to. It scares the heck out of me. That's just like, oh, it's nice and sunny. And then I might be wrestling with a 200-pound dog to get him into the basement because there might be a tornado on the way. You guys can see that in the distance. I mean, obviously it's not a tornado, but there might be some stuff coming this way. I will be right back. So here is one of the most ridiculous things that, or what I initially thought would be one of the most ridiculous that Walton sells, which has turned out to be one of my favorite things. It is a 12-inch probe digital thermometer. The size of this thing is insane. When Tex was involved in the creation of this, as was Process Head on Meatgistics, and I was making fun of it. I called it a novelty product that no one would actually use. I don't even use the other one anymore. I only use that one because it keeps my head further out of the smoker, out of the grill, makes everything way, way easier. So you're about to catch some weather up in Nebraska? Yeah, well, we're close enough. That'll probably affect us too. Andre Patterson says hurricanes are bad in North Florida. Yeah, so maybe it is really just... No, we have huge snowstorms up there, though, and you don't really have to deal with that down here. But, although those are nowhere near as scary as a tornado. They're not even remotely close. Like, oh no, I can't go out for 2 days. Nobody really cares about that. Tornado, your house is gone. It's a very different thing. It is a pretty skyline right now, though. So that is a very large concrete plant that is right next to us, and those are the trains that bring and take away concrete from that plant. So that is directly next to us. We have run into problems with filming once already with noise from the trains, but it's not that bad. The one thing about Kansas, and I'm sure Texas, Nebraska is the same, when there's weather events, the open skyline is pretty. It's cool to watch it come in. It's even cooler to watch it go away. No. Yeah, the wind noise and filming outside might cause some problems. And we kind of thought about it, but I think last Thursday we realized that it's going to be a bigger problem than we initially thought. That was pretty rough. We're looking at ways to figure that out. Right now, we're in just an open area. That's the door for the break room. That's our studio. And then it just goes open all the way to the end of the building. So we've got nothing to break the wind at this point. We're looking at some other options. But man, when the sky gets gray like that, it gets pretty beautiful. I do enjoy that. Tex, what are you drinking? And Andre, if you're really from Florida, I assume you're drinking something at, what time is it? 7:40, 8:40 at night. Not that I'm questioning if you're actually from Florida or not. Ooh. While we're waiting for that to cook, I will tell you a funny story that happened to me today. I go home every day at lunch and I do cardio on my treadmill in my garage. And I let my dog outside. For those of you who don't know, he is a 200-pound South African Mastiff. They call it a Boerboel. And he has an attitude problem. He is not a happy dog. Like, he loves me, he loves a few other people. Everyone else can keep their distance. He's not a fan. So somebody walked by with their dogs today while I was walking on my treadmill at a 3.5 speed and a 6-something incline. So fast for me. And he went nuts. He went shooting down my driveway and not even barking, like growling, snarling. Just, Arr! So I turned real quick to look at him, and my heel got caught on the side, like the railing, but I must have been toe heavy because my whole foot went down and into my other foot, fell over off the treadmill. Problem is, right back there is my bench and my Olympic weight bar that has multiple 45 pounds on it. And I hit my leg right here, like, so it's maybe not as big a bruise as I thought it would be, but this huge abrasion right here, and it hurts. And I am a baby about physical pain. Yep, he's a Mastiff. He is a South African Mastiff or Boerboel. A Bourbon Russell, 10 years old. Julius, yep, that's something we have talked about, different audio options. No, this was middle of the day cardio. So there's 2 cardio sessions most nights. We don't always get the middle of the day cardio session. For people who don't know what he's talking about, is I got obsessed with drunk cardio, where I would come home from work, I would take 2 fingers of whiskey and go on the treadmill. And I would do this for an hour to 2 hours. I was in really good shape when I was doing that every single night. And it also allows me to play video games without feeling too bad about what I'm doing. But no, middle of the day cardio is just letting Brutus be outside for a little bit more cardio. Because he's 7.5 now. He doesn't want to go on long walks. He just wants to chill outside. So I feel good that I can come home and let him be outside. down. Don't fall down. Stay right there. Stay. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder going on in the back or not. But there's a good amount of it kicking around here. And you may or may not be able to see. I'm still trying to figure out the angle of the concrete back here. Trying to place these so they don't go rolling all over the place. Ryan said, why are you using tongs after all the... Because the thermometer is a thermometer. You and Austin need to get yourself together. That is not something to turn sausages and steaks with. That is the temperature, or take the temperature of meat. Tongs are for moving and manipulating meat on a grill or smoker. This is for figuring out what the temperature of said product is. This one especially. You're going to damage these. In fact, your 12-inch, your warranty is voided. I don't believe you. Whatever you say, I know you have used it to flip probably a 12-ounce steak. Doug, cook time on these. We've got a full grill. This is the 36-inch version of the Woodwind, which does take longer to get up to temp. It is harder for it to keep temp. Every time I open that grill top, it's going to bleed off a good amount of heat. That's why I personally like the 24-inch. But we're probably looking somewhere in the 15 to 20 minute range at 300-ish degrees. Normally I like to cook at 350, but at 350 with the 36-inch, it eats through pellets like crazy. And I just don't want to waste pellets. I'm going to show you guys this again. It probably doesn't look as cool on camera as it does in real life, but it looks fairly dramatic in real life. Oh, I don't even believe you. You really don't have a 12-inch? They are very, very useful. And that's coming from someone who literally called them a novelty thermometer for the first 5 months we had, 5 weeks we had them. At some point, we'll get one. We'll get you one. Or just buy one. They're not that expensive. They're like $15. Stop being cheap. Go buy one. There is talk, we haven't figured it out yet exactly, but of a tee-off area up there and a putting green way back there. Now that talk is me. I'm the one who's been talking about that along with Dylan and Flip, but we are talking about putting in some of that, whatever you call it, fake grass up there, and creating a putting green way back there so that we could have our own golf course on the side. A 12-inch thermometer. We're going to see where we are because I hear a ton of sizzling in there. I'm going to guess our highest one in here right now is going to be at 135, which would probably be this one. Nope, I was wrong. 147, 151. 2. But that is probably our highest one because it's closest to the flame. This one I'm going to guess is 130. Dropping down to 135. Can you see that? Oh, nope. Sorry, guys. It's hard to do with the front-facing camera. So, with these, there is a good amount of variation. Now, I could leave that grill hood open and move those all around. The problem with doing that is I'm just bleeding out heat constantly as I'm doing that. So what I'll do is I'll check back in another couple of minutes. I will grab those ones on this edge right here. I'll get them off and I'll move other ones closer to where it's hottest. Ronald Dorr asks, give him a free shipping code. Listen, you have to understand how expensive shipping is now. It's insane. It is our biggest cost, basically. And we're shipping more orders than ever. So we used to do shipping weekends probably close to once every 2 months in the last couple of years. Last year that went down to like only during big holidays. This year it might not even be during big holidays. I mean, we'll definitely have it during our Thanks Black Monday sale. We'll have some sort of extremely reduced or free shipping. But yeah, it's really hard now for us to do free shipping. Are you popping Tums? No, those are my Nicorette tablets. Yeah, not Tums. I mean, I could use Tums, but no, that is nicotine that I'm taking. I don't even smoke, like, at all. Well, not at all. Sometimes when I golf, I'll smoke a little bit, Marblites. But I have been using Nicorette tablets for, I don't even know how long, many years. Love them. Julius Aban says, I can't even get shipping to work on the website to me. Gotta give them a call tomorrow. Julius, where are you? Just out of curiosity. I'm wondering if you're somewhere where we won't smoke. And can you tell me just like what products you're trying to get? Because there are certain things that we can't ship to certain locations. I've also fully converted. I never I don't know how to say this. Tex, I never was like, I don't know. I saw how excited you were for your Blackstone. I was like, oh, they're not that good. And then I started cooking on an outdoor griddle, and it is absolutely amazing. I've cooked so many dinners in the last 2 weeks on my griddle that it has replaced my stove for the most part. U.S. Virgin Islands, I'm not surprised. And natural casings are one of the things that we have trouble shipping to certain areas. So give a call to our customer service department. They will help you out. They probably will be able to get it to you. It's just we have limited options on what we can run through on the website, and that you are probably running into that problem. I apologize. We're doing the best we can. We just did a big ERP change. We're hoping that in the future we can have some more customization on things like that, but for right now we're dealing with what we can. But I do apologize. All right, we are at 180. That one's done. 172. 170, 180. Oh, and I think a sneaky little guy went all the way to the back on me. Huh? I'll bet you this one's incredibly high. Yep, we are close to 190 on that one. Oh, we are at 190 on that one. He rolled all the way to the back there. Tex, that one's yours. score. All right, so we're back down to below 160. 153. Whew. That is kicking out heat. $160. And you do want to temp all your sausages, because across your grill or smoker, you're gonna have hot spots and cold spots. It's just gonna happen no matter what you do. So make sure that you temp every sausage, because food poisoning from pork is not something that you're gonna have fun with. Alright, we will close that and give that just another minute or so. Were there any other questions? Can I scroll back through? I can. Do you temp? Yep. So, yep, I temp every one of my sausage. Nope, that one is yours. I'm going to put that in a vac bag, and you are going to eat that the next time you come down here. Yeah. Oh, a real cook. That's like Allie's bake with your heart. No. We have tools for these things. Use those tools for these things. That's what you should be doing. That's why you have them. Write text on this one and put it on a vacuum bag. It's very hot. You can't, well, maybe you can see it if I move that. But I told you how much heat it bleeds. That is down to 212 degrees after 300 and something. Just because I had it open for, what, 2 minutes? Denny Brutus is at home. He had a nice long walk when I got home from work today. I was out of town this weekend this weekend, so I had some friends come over and walk him that he's friendly with. And they took him on much longer walks than he's used to, so he's been very tired, very sleepy. But no, we wouldn't want. We could take Brutus here if no one else was here. He does not like Allie, though. He is not a fan of Allie. She tried to hide from him one time, like kind of close. He's like, oof, scared of me? Well, that got his dander up. He was ready to go. So, bringing him to Walton's is eating the owner's daughter is probably not the best thing. Bring these in. I'll be right back for you guys. So these are the delicious mac and cheese brats with extra high-tech cheese. Huh. We might have just broken our tripod. I think we can take the might have out of that. Just broke our tripod. But 2 of them are still working, so I think we're okay. Ooh. All right, so these are the Mac Attack Mac and Cheese Bratwursts. We've got nice pieces of macaroni in each bite. We've got, I mean, as much cheese as you want to add there. But absolutely great flavor. And the fact that all of those pieces of macaroni are parboiled means we don't have to worry about cooking them out of the package into the bratwurst, and we're good. Why wouldn't Patrick be happy? I mean, it's not Patrick's. If I broke one of Patrick's tripods, I'd probably just find a new job other than listening to him complain about it for the next 4 years. Because nobody complains better than that guy. I can listen to him rant about some random encounter he had for days on end. It cracks me up. I love listening to it. So we've never found that out, and we're never gonna find that out. His current record for number of ice cubes eaten in a single night, I think, is 36. So if it's really hot out, he doesn't want to drink out of a bowl, period, ever. He wants to drink out of my pond. So sometimes I just give him ice cubes when it's hot, and his current record for number of ice cubes eaten is 36. Yeah, no, they already parboil it before they even put it in the package, so it's nice and easy. You don't have to do anything. If you didn't parboil it, I think you would bite in and have some crunch from the pasta. But this one has a really nice cheddar cheesy flavor. Our other brand new seasoning is rustic French onion brat. All right, so if I want to define this flavor, it is really heavy on the cheddar cheese. Like, that is the main thing you're going to take away from it, which is what you want when you're talking about a Mac Attack or a mac and cheese brat. The amount of noodles added, you definitely, like, you can feel it, you bite into it a little bit, you can taste it, but it is mostly about the cheddar flavor. Between this and the rustic French onion, I think both of those are going to be home runs. I think it's going to take a little bit longer for the rustic French onion to catch on, but I think once it does, I think it'll be the more popular of the two seasonings. The peppery au jus jerky seasoning. I'm telling you, that is the best new seasoning we've had in I don't know how long. We have a video coming out on it tomorrow. For everybody who watches or follows Meatgistics, we're going to release them just on Meatgistics tomorrow. And then we'll release them on YouTube the day after. But I like the peppery au jus jerky seasoning better than Bold. And it's not even really close. It is absolutely delicious. Killer Bee will be coming out very soon. I think it's Beehive, not Killer Bee. But that'll be coming out very soon. That is a version of the honey barbecue snack stick, but it is way more sweetness from the honey and the barbecue. So it's way more pronounced. And I mean, people really like that one. Define the flavors of the... Okay, sorry, got that. Killer Bee might sell better, but It's too late. We've already done some marketing material. I don't even know if that's true, Tex. I just don't want to take your advice. How's that? We'll talk to Ali about it. For all you guys with kids, if you want them eating sausage, proteins, whatever, this is a really easy way to do it. This would be super appealing to any kids and adults, honestly, as well. But an easy way if they don't want to eat their meat, they just want to eat their carbs, this is a good way to do it. Alejandro and Samantha Melgarejo, I think I got that. Melgarejo said, any footlongs? So we have a new Walton's branded seasoning coming out that's all American classic hot dog, and that will be, you could make a footlong out of that, absolutely no problem. Just it's on you to stop them to a footlong. It's a great seasoning. Yeah, so Ronald, it is a beef jerky, and the au jus seasoning is super high on the umami flavor. Like it just hits and hits and hits. I made some at a bottom round, and it might be the best tasting jerky I've ever made. It's not the best like quality, not the best thickness, not the best tenderness, but as far as taste goes, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night wanting some. So, who knows? Well, I'm glad that I'm making you hungry. That's, I think, partly at least what I'm supposed to do. But yeah, the peppery au jus jerky, the Mac Attack, and the French onion brats are all available right now at waltons.com. So you can go find them immediately. Like I said, tomorrow on Meatgistics, we're going to release videos on all three. Then on Wednesday, we are going to release the videos on YouTube as well. They're just basically how to makes, talking a little bit about what's in the seasoning, because obviously we're not going to tell you everything that's in there. But that rustic French onion brat, when people get a hold of that, as long as you like French onion soup, which I'm a fiend for French onion soup, once people get a hold of that and really get into it, I think it's going to rocket up the charts. It probably will never be like a Philly. Like it'll probably never be quite as popular as the Philly. But man, is it good. And interesting, like it's off the grill, straight off the grill. It's good. Very, very nice. Let it cool down for 3 or 4 minutes, even better. Then when it cools down all the way, taste completely changes. It's almost like 3 different brats in a single brat, depending on what temperature you're eating at. Yeah, the French onion's awesome. On another note, looks like you need an outdoor access point. Your video quality gets bad when outside. Thanks. Appreciate you letting us know that. We will let our IT department know that. We just moved in here 3 weeks ago, I think. So we're still figuring a bunch of stuff out. One of these nights, Allie and I would do one of these Walton's processing streams, which we do every other Monday. Every Thursday I do a live stream, either here or my house, where we cook something. But every other Monday we do one of these processing streams. And we're going to take one, and all we're going to do is walk around and show you the building. We're going to show you every, our studio, the photo studio. Shipping is unbelievable. If I wouldn't get in a lot of trouble, I'd show you guys now, because it is amazing back there. It is. We made a joke today that we need to film something like the end of Indiana Jones, or not Temple of Doom, Raiders of the Lost Ark, where at the end they're pushing the Ark into the warehouse, because it looks like that back there. It is unbelievably huge. So once we have everything like settled, done, ready to go, we'll spend an entire evening walking you guys around the building, because it's pretty awesome. It's pretty fun. Have you put it in French onion soup? So I can't really. We will have some cool material coming out. We did some cool photo shoots where we made really nice French onion soup to put next to it so we could take pictures of it. Denny, I don't know. That's not at all my call. I don't think so. I think with everything else going on, I doubt we're going to do that. French onion, a combo of meats. So for sausage, I'm honestly almost always going to be just on the pork butt side of things. I tend to think it does the best job. It's got the perfect fat content, nice creamy pork fat. You can use other cuts, absolutely. If you wanted to use something like a bottom round or something else from a beef chuck would be fine. But it's just it is going to change the flavor. The only thing I've had the French onion soup so far in is pork butts. I am very biased towards pork butts for all types of sausage. I don't even pork shoulder. I don't like it as much. I like pork butts. Oh, mountain lion. Now, if we get mountain lion, we're doing something whole muscle with that. Maybe the trimmings, but whole muscle with mountain lion. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, is mountain lion is the most delicious meat known to man. And I think it's the most delicious wild game known to man. Beef still beats it, but not by a ton. Mountain lion is like more tender, slightly more sweet pork. And the only thing we could ever come up with was that mountain lions either are sprinting, so they're building muscle, or they're laying around doing nothing, being lazy cats, so they're just being nice and supple. That's the best we could come up with. But that's just a couple of idiots using their knowledge of other things, trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, if you want to add some chuck roast with some pork fat, that obviously would be absolutely amazing. I don't know what that would do to the flavor. On the French onion, I bet you it would be incredible. Because the French onion is really like a savory with a little bit of sweetness and then a kick of umami. That umami just like kind of at the very end comes in. So if you made it out of beef, that might really just make it insane. Generally, I like pork. There's a couple of seasonings. Buffalo wing, snack stick is definitely one I like better with beef than pork. Even ones that you would think were like classically beef flavors, like the Philly, I'm still wanting to make that with pork. But French onion, that might not be a bad one. But seriously, try that peppery au jus turkey. You're gonna freak out about how good it is. As soon as I tasted it, I was like, oh, that's it. Like that's the best thing. And we tweaked it just a tiny bit, and yeah, it's awesome, absolutely awesome. All right, guys, I'm gonna start getting cleaned up here so I can get home and go to sleep and come back, do it all again tomorrow. We'll see you guys. Ooh.